has anyone, the Ren and Stimpy fans, knows for sure? Do you know the one episode that was unaired and or banned that really broke the straw on the camel's back? Or beat the hell out of it, Venor? Man's Best Friend was supposed to premiere in 1992. This was banned by Nickelodeon because of John for a few handful of reasons. And I always remembered watching this in the bonus features of the Ren and Stimpy show. It was the first episode of the second season that never aired. I remember the story was one of the people in Spunko told the story that John pitches this idea of this guy George Licker training Ren and Stimpy to be champions, and so they did the storyboards for it, which are actually pretty funny, and they approved it. And he said, the guy said, wait, what the hell? And he asked John, John, are you serious with this? They approved this board? Yep. It goes, yep, they did it. Watch it, you'll know why. And we're about to get to that. Particularly it's got a few things. Let's see, smoking, verbal abuse, physical violence, and one particular character. The music here should be a first clue of what the episode is going to be about. They just, like a Looney Tunes character. This George Licker, hand-painted, hand-inked, I believe by Bill Ray. I love the dark blue background behind him, of course. I think they did, 2 or 3 different episodes of character George Licker, like Robin, who's Sheriff and Robin Hood, did a small cameo in The Boy Cried Rat, and a dog show, or I believe it's called. And with George Licker, according to John Kay, the story of it was that he, I guess, drove by the story, it was named George's Liquor, and I guess the name popped in his head. Before Ren and Stimpy, George was the first character to pop to his brain instantly. He's known as a moral, God-fearing man who believes in tough love.
Hello, I'm George Licker, American.
George is kind of like a long-lost, demented Looney Tunes character. The way his neck turns, cracks, and I remember hearing that the uncensored Licker wasn't supposed to be there. I think it's supposed to be George American. And there are episodes where I see Ren and Stimpy are walking on 2 legs and are treated like people, and whenever George is in it, they're treated like pets, which always odded me a bit. See, no matter what pet store you go to, they have that. Don't tap on the glass, and he just taps on it, bangs on it anyway. Wakes him up like a true asshole. This already describes George's character. Just does not care. Just entitled over.
Yes, sir. I'll make them champions.
I love his weird ass little skipping, frolicking or skipping all the way to his house. He buys Ren and Stimpy up, and that's a more appropriate way to buy pets. Just put them on in a paper bag like you're walking out of a McDonald's or something. It's that's probably where they probably made them. That's probably a secret recipe to McDonald's meat. That's the McRib, is just Ren and Stimpy meat.
What's this crap?
Yeah, it's stuff like this. The fish with a cigarette in his mouth. That's probably the strike one that made Nickelodeon go, no, absolutely not, you can't do that. Even though guys like Disney already kind of did that for kids back then. They say it was a similar time, but this was the 90s at time. So it's I guess the rules were changing a bit of
Aren't you guys lucky to have such a kind, loving master as I?
wow, for lack of a better way to that's exactly how you treat your that's exactly how I keep my cat. In a goldfish bowl. Yeah, poor Pez. I just keep her tied up in a goldfish bowl. Like so far this already reading off levels of hilariously mean. Whoa! Dan Schnarr's watching this feels good by himself. Jesus. One of the things I love and adore of Ren and Stimpy is what John would say, or anybody, they would pause a cartoon they love. It would pause frame by frame by frame, and there's a new picture at every frame, and it was just gorgeous, precious. And one of my favorite shots is of Ren smacking his ass on the newspaper, and it just I kind of paused it here on accident, and it always cracked me up. That's one of the things I love from Ren and Stimpy is there's always a new face, new different picture each one. No, any sort of a of bathroom humor I can totally get as long as you make it really, write it real well done. With the mudslides in India, is that supposed to be racial? Like, I'm getting mixed signals from that. I don't know if anyone ever pointed that out or not. So if I'm the first one, then I don't see anyone talk about this. This
Joy.
I wouldn't know if I would call this a strike two, cause Stimpy did good. George gave him a treat that kind of looks like a turd. It really does, and he's skipping like a dog. And I guess that's one of the notes. Like, no, you can't do that. Is that little turd? Because it looks like it's in his teeth, and he's skipping. Like, well, yeah.
Now, in order to learn discipline, you must learn to misbehave. Now, you see this over here? This is a couch. Now, a couch is a human luxury.
Now, with this scene with the couch here, there's something we need to address. John in the document, John K made clear that growing up, he was verbally abused emotionally by his father, Michael Cristofalusi, and he would have reverse psychology and physiological behavior rain down on him as a little kid, and he was always terrified of his father growing up. Like, who wasn't terrified of their father growing up? And so with George Licker, John K based a lot of his father's personality, his facial expressions into George. And so
My couch. Yes, sir. There's nothing a man hates more than having his lower life forms sit on his non-living possessions. You heard me. Get on that couch. Come on. Make me mad. Make me mad or I'm gonna be really mad.
watching this now, it's bizarrely relatable. Think about it now, because he, like making faces like a psychopath. He just emotionally, verbally abusing both Ren and Stimpy. Is like he's just being relentlessly mean to them both. Is that he tells him like, all right, do not get on this couch. I'm angry if you'll get on this couch. Well, wait for it. Get on the couch. Get on there before I get really mad. And like that's really like This really feeds off as, oh, this is child abuse or child neglection. Relentlessly relatable. Yep, to me, I'm sure stuff like this is why most people wanted me to talk about this, or at least why I wanted to. Is just all this father tension is the tension is rising. You can really feel that growing up. I'm sure for those of you who had abusive asshole fathers growing up, I'm sure we all had a George Licker in our lives. We really did. Just a overgrown alpha male who's highly overly opinionated, entitled, and just emotionally abusive. If
Tell you what's in my couch!
again with John, he would take emotions and highly exaggerate them, and I guess this is what he saw in his father growing up. It's like this total intense anger for no reason at all. Like that, I guess it really affected him as a kid. I'm trying my best not to sound like I'm defending him. Like, no, absolutely not. No.
Car while you're at it. Why don't you go see a movie?
Maybe I would take the car, but the goldfish took it.
Oh.
Oh yeah, the fish did take it. The fish did take it out. He's probably gonna go see Deadpool Wolverine. Wish I went with him. He needs to cut down the smoke.
Attack! Let's go, Rex! Attack me! But you are my kind and beloved master! I can't! But I can!
Stop and give me 20.
And this right here is this is the one that straw broke the camel's back. One of the main reasons why this was, in my opinion, was banned is you got Ren, who was treated the most poorly by George, and is already in cane of revenge, like ready to take him, ready to knock some sense into him. And it is beautifully animated too, especially with the backgrounds that heightens the emotion by Bill Ray, and we're about to get ready for a party. The second Ren went to town with beating shitless out of George. I know some person going, is John serious with this? And here, I love here. You can pause this frame by frame by frame, and it is hilarious seeing George get beaten up. And yes, I know it is banned and most not for kids, but come on, this is awesome. Especially how grotesque and beautiful art it is. Like, who doesn't love it? I do. Vanessa Coffey and Jim Ballantyne would be on the documentary saying, like, I didn't like it. It was too violent. Of course, Jim would agree with is, of course, this is one of the most brilliant things ever made. I love it, but of course, it's not for kids. And it's not like we don't know why this was banned.
Shut up! You're next, Mr. Doggy Treat.
We usually are pretty used to Ren slapping Stimpy around, but turning and just scolding him, just threatening Stimpy like that, that's probably most saying like, you will get yours in hell, Ren.
You must learn your black.
I know when the executives saw this here, just they already put their books down, got out of their seat like, yep, this did it. This would scare the holy hell out of kids if they watch it. They'll turn down like their parents like, what? And I hear that with this, just think about it. I mean, I hear people say that John K is clearly Ren, and that he would base on George Licker on his father growing up and how he was emotionally abused by his dad. So, what are you trying to tell us, John? Like, you always want to do that to your dad? Like, you still want to do that to your father? I feel like of all we've gone through, like, we overcome our abusers. Like, this is like they would put their pain into art. Most it it does boggle my mind. The first time I watched it, I was amazed at, well, with Ren and Stimpy. There were banded episodes you can only possibly find on DVD that you cannot find on Paramount Plus, and this is one of them for sure. Especially when just some of the things, besides all that I've brought up, is like there's like two X's in George Licker's eyes after Ren beat the shit out of him with a bat with an oar, and it looks like he's half dead. That's what the X means in eyes. Like, yeah, no, absolutely not, John. You can't do that. And later on, the story of it, what I hear, is like John was furious about it, and so he would bring up a new 1992, and a news that he's selling as a bootleg. He wanted to get out there, and that's best friend. And so Nickelodeon had no. That's the reason why they fired him. Also, Vanessa Coffey would say they were on the phone, and John K. would go like, "Go fuck yourself." Vanessa Coffey hang up and send a copy according to Bob Camp, we sent a copy to the network saying, "I can't be responsible for deadlines anymore. Sorry." And those are one things that got him no heave ho. It kind of looks like Ren is about to be killed, but George is happy for Ren for beating the crap out of him, and they all smoke cigars. Nah, just kidding. It's doggy trees that looks like cigars, and apparently they all skip like dogs, and apparently that's the end. Good lord. And there you have. That was Man's Best Friend, the banded, unaired episode of Ren and Stimpy. Does it hold up? I do not hear much people talk about this one. No one. Well, except like blame on George. Bob, I think, mentioned it just once in one of his videos. One main reasons, of course, not just because of John firing, because he would say it's not violent enough, was mostly, in my opinion, George Licker and his verbal abuse that would follow. Like, I know kids would be scarred for life if they saw it. The truth is, I cannot really understand what networks pick up, what they don't pick up, what they like, what they release out there in the air for society and kids and God to see. Okay, so beating guys up with an oar is bad taste, but showing guts and intestines and child neglection is fine. That's okay in your book, Nickelodeon. Like, what are your rules? I don't get. And as for John K., his fight at the end, the battle, described by Vanessa Coffey she was great. His fight in, like, give me the character George Licker back. He's like, fine, take him. The last thing we want is this character. And she's right. He's an abusive, it's a bully, asshole, insane character. And he really is. Later on, John would go on to bring, now that, John had the rights to George Licker, he used him for, I think the first web series, like the goddamn George Licker program, and a few Adult Swim ads, and the terrible Kickstarter of Cancel Out Labels. You can find it all on YouTube. And of course, we all know what John did, of course. And I just always wanted to talk about this. It was a bar that I do love this. I do enjoy the episode. I love the animation, the squash and stretch of it. With George, I wouldn't say I hate him. Like, he's an absolutely insufferable fucking person. Like, who doesn't love the terribly, horribly mean-spirited characters? Like, there's always a fan base for those guys, for sure. And I would see people like with a doll. Either you hate George Licker or you don't. And with me, it's like it's kind of a mixed signal thing. Like I would definitely not want to be in the same room or work for him or with the guy. For sure. What do you think? So what do you think? You enjoyed the episode? You have our favorite Ren and Stimpy episodes? Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you like and subscribe.